just a few hours away from the kickoff of Super Wildcard Weekend as the road to Super Bowl 56 in Inglewood, California begins today. And in this video, I'm going to give my predictions as to what teams I see advancing on and what teams I see getting bounced and seeing their offseason begin. And just a quick synopsis and a quick heads up. I know some people will go on here and on public television and say that they're foolproof. Trust them, take your money and spend it on them. Nobody is foolproof. There's a reason they play the games. So I'm not saying trust my word. It's spitballing like everybody else. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. We'll begin in the AFC as the number 2 seed Kansas City Chiefs, your back-to-back AFC champions, will face the number 7 seed Pittsburgh Steelers. These two teams did meet in Week 16 with the Chiefs coming out with the victory. The Chiefs have won 6 of their last 8 playoff games, including their last 3 opening rounders. Meanwhile, the Steelers haven't won a playoff game since 2016. Kansas City, a top 5 offense in both yards per game and points per game. Meanwhile, the Steelers hover around 20 and 22nd in those statistical categories. Universal belief is that when the Steelers are officially eliminated from the playoffs, whenever that may be, whether it be now or if they win a Super Bowl, that it's going to be the end of Ben Roethlisberger's career. A lot of people think he's going to hang up his helmet, hang up his cleats, and call it a career. So the Steelers are going to be playing with a little bit more motivation. On top of that, though, if they do have one advantage here, they are the league leader in sacks. They have more sacks than any other team, and they are a top 10 defense in terms of fewest passing yards allowed. So if they want to win this game and have a different outlook from what happened on December 26th, they're going to have to turn this into a fist fight. They're going to have to set their dogs loose, especially TJ Watt. They're going to have to punch Patrick Mahomes, hypothetically, in the mouth repeatedly and often, force mistakes, force turnovers, force interceptions. Problem is, that is a hell of a lot easier said than done. That offensive line has gotten a lot better since last year. And frankly, again, stopping Patrick Mahomes from putting points on the board is a task that is very, very difficult. I see the Chiefs jumping up early, and I cannot see Pittsburgh catching up. That offense is not equipped for it. I think that they can keep it close, then maybe we get interesting. But if Kansas City jumps out to an early lead, which they have a propension of doing, Pittsburgh can't come from behind. So what I see happening here is I see the Chiefs scoring early. I see them scoring often, and I see this being a little bit closer than last time. But unfortunately, I think that the luck that Pittsburgh had in Week 18 was just that luck. I see their season coming to an end, and both Ben Roethlisberger and general manager Kevin Colbert's careers coming to an end in Kansas City as the Chiefs advance on. You got Cincinnati taking on Las Vegas. The Bengals and Raiders return to the playoffs. The Bengals looking to win their first playoff game in over 11,331 days. That's 4 decades, guys. That is an entire millennia. George H.W. Bush was president last time the Cincinnati Bengals won a playoff game. Crazy to think about. I don't want to tell you what gas prices were back then. Insane to think about. I was 10 years old, and I was living in Cincinnati then. By the way, the team that started all this ineptitude in playoff play was the Raiders, who, by the way, were in Los Angeles then. Since then, they moved to Oakland, back to Oakland, I should say, and left Oakland again. Little known fact, though, the Raiders have had a streak of ineptitude in their own. They have not won a playoff game since 2002, so somebody's ineptitude is going out the window here. Now, Rich Bisaccia, by the way, has really done a fantastic job with the Las Vegas Raiders since taking over for John Gruden when he got resigned. I'll say resigned because he was pushed out the door. He's dealt with a lot of turmoil, a lot of chaos. This team should not be in the playoffs with all the crap they've had to endure with Henry Ruggs and Damon Arnett and just a bunch of distractions off the field. That's why I think Bisaccia, forget Jim Harbaugh, forget the splashy hires, forget Brian Flores and anyone else that's being floated out there. This guy not only should have the interim tag removed, he should be in serious consideration for Coach of the Year for having the Raiders here. Bottom line. But as for the game itself, it's going to be an interesting one because, little known fact, the Raiders and Derek Carr actually have more passing yards than Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. People talk about Burrow and what an astounding job he's done, and he has. But Derek Carr does not get nearly enough credit for being the outstanding quarterback he is. So this one, I think, could be an offensive firefight. Difference is the Bengals score more points than the Raiders do, and that's where I think it gets a little bit dicey. Otherwise, this game very evenly matched. The running game, pretty even. The passing game, pretty even. Can Vegas get some of their pass rushers on Joe Burrow and make it uncomfortable? Because if there's an Achilles heel, that offensive line is improved, but that's still a weakness. Burrow was the most sacked quarterback in the NFL this year. The Raiders are solid at that avenue. If they could set Max Crosby loose and some of their pass rushers loose, this could be dicey. Here's why I think Cincinnati has the advantage. That receiving core is damn good, and I don't think the Raiders have the horses in the secondary to keep up with them. I think this one's close. I think it's really close down the stretch, but I think that receiving core of Higgins, Boyd, and Chase make this Cincinnati's ball game to win. I think somewhere Paul Brown, somewhere down wherever they are in football heaven, or if you believe they're somewhere else, that's your prerogative. I think Art Davis and Paul Brown are watching. I think they're gambling on each other. I think they're watching, but I think somewhere Paul Brown's going to be smiling at the end of the day. I think the Bengals finally exercised 4 decades of playoff demons and beat the team that started it all back in 1990. They advance on to the AFC divisional round. Here's a quick story for you guys, by the way, as I prepare to talk about Buffalo and New England. Every season the Bengals have won a playoff game other than 1990. They've also beat Buffalo and lost to San Francisco in the Super Bowl. May I remind you, Buffalo and San Francisco are playing meaningful football this year. Whether that's something or nothing, who knows? But moving on. Speaking of Buffalo, you got the battle of the possible passing of the torch game in Orchard Park as the Bills take on the Patriots. These two teams split the regular season meeting this year. An absolute weird game happened in December. Mac Jones throws the football just 3 times, completes 2 of them, 19 yards. You figure in any other circumstance, the Patriots get the crap kicked out of them. They win. It's because Damian Harris runs for 119 yards. Since then, though, and this is why I really like Brian Daboll as an offensive coordinator and a possible head coach, they've really incorporated Devin Singletary more into the offense. They've become a more diverse offense. Before it was Josh Allen run, Josh Allen throw to Diggs. Pretty not two-dimensional, but, they were tough to stop, but that got figured out. Now they've added some wrinkles into that offense. Question is, can McDermott, can he grab the mantle? Can this Bills team top New England to become the beast of the East once and for all? New England's been that top of the mountain for a long time. Yet since 2017, slowly but steadily, Buffalo's been climbing their way up, itching their way up. And they were it last year. They were the kings of the East. Yet they cannot fully be that king of the East, that beast of the East once and for all until they knock off Bill Belichick in New England. And Belichick's done a fantastic job this year. He's got Mac Jones looking like a solid NFL quarterback. And before everybody says Tom Brady 2.0, stop it. Stop it. You're setting this kid up to fail. He's never going to be Tom Brady. Nobody's ever going to be Tom Brady. He's going to be the first Mac Jones. And Belichick proved, and him and McDaniels proved that they can make another quarterback that's not number 7. Proved that defense still has something in the tank. The Wizard proved he still can coach without number 7. But here's my philosophy. That Buffalo defense, best in the league. That Buffalo offense, top 5. New England's defense, one of the top 7 in the league as well. The offense, though, that's where it dips off. I think it's going to be close. Nobody's blowing New England out in the playoffs. Not with Bill Belichick in charge. But I think this is the year Buffalo grabs the reins. I think Allen does enough to lead them to a win. I think they have a trouble stopping Diggs. And I think Singletary rips off a few big runs. I think Buffalo advances on to the divisional round of the playoffs. And I think they finally wrest that mantle as the kings of the AFC East away from Bill Belichick and the Patriots once and for all. Moving on to the NFC. You've got the number 2 seed, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, taking on the number 7 seed, Philadelphia Eagles. Tom Brady and the Eagles tangle in meaningful January football once again, but the script is a hell of a lot different this time. Tom Brady's quarterbacking an NFC team this time. They're not meeting in the Super Bowl, they're meeting in the first round. And by the way, this is a far cry from the Nick Foles, Doug Peterson Philadelphia Eagles, let alone the Andy Reid, Donovan McNabb ones. But interesting matchup here. You've got a high-octane Tampa Bay offense and a slugfest, punch-mouth, smash-mouth Tampa Bay defense. Taking on an equally smash-mouth, run-heavy best run offense in Philadelphia. Now, Tampa Bay is depleted. We all know what went down with Antonio Brown. We don't need to regurgitate that. Losing Chris Godwin, huge. However, there's still old trusty Gronk. There's still old trusty Mike Evans. The question for Philadelphia here is, can they control the time of possession and run the football enough without Miles Sanders? Boston Scott's really good. Kenneth Gainwell looked really good this year. We all know Jalen Hurts can run the football. Can they move it around enough and control the clock enough to keep Tom Brady off the field from working his magic in January? Can their defense keep Tom Brady at bay? Can their secondary keep Brady at bay? These all sound like philosophies that are easy to do. Again, easier said than done. I know the Patriots. Boy, force a habit there talking about Tom Brady with the Patriots. I know the Buccaneers are depleted offensively on the wide receiver core. But again, that two-headed monster, I think Gronkowski, I think Evans are more than enough. I think that running game has something to it. I think this will be close. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means, but I think Tampa Bay has enough gas in the tank to advance on. Now, as they get against a more established, more polished offense, there could be some problems. I just don't think Philadelphia is a team to beat them. So I think Tampa Bay moves on. You've got the number 3 seed Rams taking on the number 6 seed Cardinals. These two teams split the season series. Matthew Stafford, of note, has never won a playoff game. That being said, he was a quarterback of the Detroit Lions. The fact that he led them to 3 playoff games is a miracle in its own right. He's also working with a hell of a lot more tools in Los Angeles than he ever had in Detroit. Ever. And that's saying something because he did have Calvin Johnson. Defense, top-notch in Los Angeles. Secondary, top-notch. Cooper Kupp going to be in the running for MVP if he doesn't win the whole damn thing. This Ram team has come so close in the past. This Ram team probably wins the Super Bowl with Stafford instead of Jared Goff as quarterback. I truly believe that. Now the Cardinals coming in. Kyler Murray's a good quarterback, guys. Kyler Murray is a hell of a quarterback. The question is, what does Kyler Murray do without Hopkins? What does he do without Rondale Moore? This team's beaten up. This team's beaten up badly. Explosive enough offensively? Sure. Question is, do they have enough to get past this Rams offense? I don't think so. This Rams defense? I don't think so. And it comes also down to coaching. I trust Sean McVay a hell of a lot more than I do Cliff Kingsbury. And I know there's little intangibles like that. That's all it takes in an offseason. I think Matthew Stafford picks up playoff win number 1. I think the Rams advance on. Last but not least, an old playoff rivalry renewed. You've got Dallas, you've got San Francisco. An elite defense takes on an elite offense. I'm going to call it, guys. I think there's an upset brewing here. I think there's a big-time upset brewing. Now, 4-5, big upset. 5-4, huge upset, I know. This 49er run game is damn good. Now, I know Ezekiel Elliott's not exactly a piece of trash. But the thing about this 49er run game, they're the Denver of the new millennia. And those of you that are younger may not remember those Denver teams in the 90s. It didn't matter who the hell they put in there at halfback. They succeeded. You could pull anybody off the street and they'd put up production. That's this 49er team. But they've also got a very solid receiving core. They've got George Kittle, who, when he's utilized, is an elite tight end. Their defense is high level, one of the best in the NFL. Dallas has laid some real stinkers down the stretch. Real stinkers. I'm calling an upset here. I think the 49ers and Jimmy Garoppolo, if he's healthy, do just enough to pull off the win. I think the 49ers are a sneaky pick to pull off a few upsets on the way to an NFC Championship game appearance. I don't think they go to the Super Bowl, but I think they've got enough in the tank to really knock off and surprise a few teams. Because I think Jimmy Garoppolo is one of those quarterbacks. He's never going to be the type that's going to throw for 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns. That's not his MO. He's not going to be the type that's going to throw for 450 yards. But he's the type of guy that will Put the ball where it needs to be, when it needs to be there. He's the type of guy that knows how to move an offense. And most of all, he's the type of guy that knows how to win a game. And that's where Jimmy Garoppolo's at his best. With that and this running game and an elite defense, I think the 49ers are very scary in this playoffs. Anyway, and they got good coaching, too. They've got very good coaching. Kyle Shanahan, an offensive mastermind. Offensive mastermind. They've also got an offensive coordinator in there who's getting a lot of buzz as a possible future head coach. Just saying, keep an eye on the 49ers. Anyway, guys, that'll wrap things up for this video. All these will probably be wrong, so feel free to tell me at the comment section below how crazy I am for making them. In the meantime, my name's JP. Thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you soon.